Welcome back to the Real Friends Podcast. We have a returning guest and a brand new superstar. So, Mike and Lucas are here. What's up, guys?
Hi. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Lucas, are you excited for this?
Yes.
Do you want to tell the people what we're talking about today?
We're going to be talking about Megan.
Megan. And why are we talking about Megan this week?
Because Megan 2.0 is coming out on Friday.
On Friday. Yep. So, yeah, we're going to talk about Megan, like you said, from 2022. With Lucas not being 17, we're going to talk about the theatrical version of Megan. So, that's actually the only one I've seen, so that works out. So, yeah, I mean, just give me you guys' initial thoughts. Like, you guys have seen it many more times than I have, but what do you think of Megan?
I think it's good. I think it's a good movie. I like it.
What do you like about it?
I like that it's kind of like creepy, and it's a giant talking doll that kills people.
Yeah, that's a good reason. Mike, what do you like about Megan?
I thought it gave you more than what you kind of bargained for with it. I thought it was better than what you like the trailer showed and everything, and it was interesting. And I like pretty much like anything that involves toys. Killer Toys is even better. And it was just overall good movie with a good mix of humor. And, well, I watched the unrated version. I don't think I've ever seen the theatrical version. So I will have to go out and say, oh, yeah, maybe with you.
Yeah, with
we
me.
watched the theatrical version, and I was like, oh, they cut that there. And, okay, yeah, but there was more gore in the unrated, so I like that.
Oh, come on.
Do you think that's about the big difference? Is just the level of gore? Like, was there more language or anything in it? Or
I think there might be one or two more F-bombs.
Okay.
But I do know for a fact I know we might talk about it later, but the boy at that like camping scene, that one is definitely extended in the unrated.
Okay.
You know, I don't quite know what else, but I'm pretty sure that whenever you do a lot of like the PG-13 versus the unrated stuff, the kind of cuts that get trimmed out of that are usually like blood splatters, and they would cut those out to get down to the PG-13.
Sure, because I know like in the PG-13 version, you just see the car coming and then like his shoe sitting there. So I would assume you actually probably see him get hit by the car and stuff like that.
Well, it's actually more about like the ear.
Oh, okay.
So that ear thing is a little more drawn out
Sure.
and more violent
Okay.
than in the theatrical.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you watched it again this morning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. So it's pretty fresh in all of our minds. So, you know, just starting right from the beginning, right? You go in and you think you're watching a trailer for something. You don't realize it's the start of the movie with the perpetual pets.
Yeah.
Yeah. The perpetual pets part is kind of like it's just funny.
Yeah. It's kind of like South Park. Like South Park sometimes will put like, you know, like the Mr. Hanky like construction set, right? Like it shows you a trailer for something and it's like, oh, I'm actually watching the movie, which you should have known because right away it has a little girl with a dog and then the dog is dead, right?
Yeah.
And she's trying to find a replacement for her dog and she gets these perpetual pets. And it's funny because we're seeing like what they can be, right, to give us an idea of the movie. And then it snaps to this little girl in a car with a perpetual pet, and it's just like this dirty old man that keeps farting.
Yeah, you know, he's just disgusting, like this perpetual.
She just keeps feeding him food, which I would assume you probably have to buy all the food too. Like it reminded me of kind of, you know, you hear about the kids with playing Fortnite with their parents' credit cards and they just keep buying skins and stuff. Like this one kid bought like don't get any ideas.
No, I don't get that.
But there was a kid that spent like $10,000 on his mom's credit card before she realized it. Yeah.
How did you? Yeah, that's why we have notifications.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, the perpetual pets are really funny, and you know, right from the beginning, it's kind of giving you a commentary, honestly. And I don't know if that's what the whole movie is, but it's a commentary on like, you know, the dad says it. He's talking about where the world is going. That you know, what's the point in having? The mom's like, what's the point in having a toy if you have to play with it with your iPad? And the dad's like, well, that's just the way the world's going.
Right. Yeah, I caught on that, and then like even like the whole screen time thing and everything like that was like. Man, this is so like relevant with like what I have to deal with today with them.
Yeah.
And limiting screen time and all that.
I've heard you say that to him. You're like, all right, buddy, you've got 30 more minutes.
Yeah,
Like, you know?
exactly.
Yeah. Did the screen time thing resonate with you too?
I actually don't know because I have a TV in my room, so if my iPad runs out, it just
Yeah, but even when you think about what is that runs off the iPad that you have what was that? Osmo. So we had this Osmo gaming thing, and it does the same thing with like the iPad. And then you have to play the games.
But
Oh.
it puts it in the screen.
It puts it in the screen. Like if you run a car, there was a car one, and then that car would like then show up. It's basically done with like mirrors and things like that. But
Kind of like there's like that old Disney game where you had to buy the little toys like for the Wii and
what was
stuff.
that? Skylanders or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're
Kingdom
talking about.
Hearts.
No, Kingdom Hearts was its own
It's just
game,
an actual video game.
But this
yeah.
one was like Disney, like Infinite or something like that.
Yeah, that's
but,
what it was called, Disney
Yeah.
Infinite. Yeah, where you had to buy the little action figures.
Yeah, and then they would pop up.
And then they go into the game like little Jack Sparrow and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then we get a jump scare pretty quick, right, with the snowplow.
Yep.
Like, that got me out of nowhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the funny thing is that when I watched it yesterday, and I was just like, man, these people are just. How is it that bad? How did it? Because they were arguing about. They didn't know what chains were.
He
They
doesn't
couldn't-
know what a four-wheel drive
Four-wheel-
is.
they didn't know what was
He goes, it
four-wheel
looks like a
drive.
four-wheel drive.
I was
Yeah,
like-
because it has 4 tires. Like,
Yeah,
what are
I
you
was
talking
like, how did you get in such a major snowstorm like this? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't just like out of nowhere. I
Right.
was just thinking like, well,
Well, and it's not like it's the first time they've gone skiing, right? Like Katie, the little girl, talks about, yeah, Mom always wanted to take me skiing. Well, you should understand if it's a ski lodge at the top of a mountain.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe they were headed like to the overlook, like in The Shining. Like
Yeah.
and they were going in like, the off season.
maybe.
They're
Yeah.
like, hey, I know this really cool secret place. There's only a caretaker and his family up there.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought right after that, then when we get the Megan loading screen, I thought the way that was edited was so cool because it's like the spinning screen you get like
Yep.
on an iPhone, then it spins into the G for the Megan.
Yeah, I actually, when I was watching it, I thought, man, my Movies Anywhere is stuck. And then, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was like
Yeah,
buffering. I was like,
I did too. Yeah. That's a great, especially I can't imagine like I said, I didn't see this in theaters, but like you're sitting in the theater and people are probably like, "What's going on? Like it's not playing." Like,
Hey,
One,
yeah, hey, buddy.
whenever I watched it on Prime, I don't remember that scene at all.
no.
I don't even think it's in the theatrical, like
No,
or something.
it's at the very beginning where it says the title.
Right after the
It's not-
snowplow hits, yeah, they have the
Yeah.
title screen where it
Yeah,
just
it's the title
it's just like a
screen.
little spinning circle and then it becomes the G and it says Megan. So we go right to what is that called? Funky? Is that
Yeah,
the,
Funky.
Yeah, Funky. Yeah.
Yeah.
We go to Funky and they're putting this robot together. And when they put the skin mask on her, it's so cool how they shot that then through like the robot's perspective as she's looking at you because it kind of feels like you're in the Matrix,
Yeah.
like through a computer.
So whenever they do they ask her to do different emotion, like show different feelings on
Yeah.
her face. The best one is whenever she does this smirk, like this smirk.
Yeah, she's supposed to be confused, I think.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
It's-
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things because it looks so good.
Yeah, and they're like, "What is she doing? Like, she's not
Yeah.
supposed to look like that." They're like, "I don't know. It's your code." Like, she's like, "I know it's my code." And then it's so funny because her boss comes down and we quickly learn out she's not supposed to be working on this.
Yes. And the boss is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
in the
he's
movie.
great. He's such like a cartoony villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the way he says words, he's like, "What is this, Gemma?" Like, "Get my kombucha."
And he's trying to get in and his key
Yeah.
card won't work.
Yeah.
He's flipping out. But then, the whole idea is he's been asking her to make a cheaper version of what they have. Right,
because of competitors.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they have a competitor who's making exactly what they have, but with a light up butt is the difference. And
it's like half the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
yeah, she's like, we're supposed to be worried about them. That like they're doing the same thing. He's like, yeah, for half the cost.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
he's like, I've been begging you to give me a toy for $50, and I mean, I know I don't have a kid yet. I'm going to, but like the amount of money people can spend on toys is obscene.
Oh, it is. And the first few years, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Now that really come, to go off of that. Like this was supposed to be like the ultimate toy.
Right.
Because what does she say? She says, if I had a toy like that, I
Yeah.
wouldn't need anything
Yeah,
else.
that was such a cool line. Yeah, because Katie says that. She's like,
Yeah.
if I had a toy like her, I'd never need another one. And you see like the light bulb go off in
Yep.
Gemma's head. She's like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Like whenever that scene happened, it was whenever they had that big Bruce
yeah.
robot, and
Which I was hoping he would come back, and then when he did, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was such an awesome scene.
See, I was like, what? I don't know why, but you see a movie a lot, and then you start like analyzing,
Yeah.
like that scene, and for something that stuck out to me was like she says, I made him in college. I'm like, what college?
Yeah,
So,
MIT.
what-
Right?
Yeah, were you like at MIT,
Yeah.
and your professor was just like, don't worry about the budget, just make whatever the heck you want, and when
Yeah.
you're done with it, you can take it home. Like that just was insane because I would think that if you made that in college, the college might own it. Like, how did she afford making that robot? It was just, and then I told myself, this is a movie, dude. This is
Yeah.
a movie about a killer robot girl doll.
But
like, what are you doing?
They do kind of, I mean, it's subtle, right? So you have to read into it. But like, with how OCD she is and all of her collectibles and stuff,
Yeah.
and she's single, like, she probably has money, is my assumption.
Yeah, but I wouldn't think that she did. Like, she probably has money now. I wasn't, but she said she made that in college. So
Sure.
it was just like, where's that? How did that?
Yeah.
I was
Maybe she
being-
like won an award, like best toy, and the prize was you get to take it home.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, I had my grumpy old man hat on. I was like, you didn't do that.
that's our jealousy hat,
Yeah, I was like, hey, wait, when I was in college, I built it out of paper.
Yeah. And it's cool, right? Because it's so funny because she's talking about how she's like, I know that the initial toys were like the Perpetual Pets were so expensive, but it's because I was working towards this end goal and I planted listening devices and all of the Perpetuals to pick up on how kids talk.
Yeah.
He's like, you did not just tell me that. Like that's a security, that's like the old CIA, like wiretapping.
Yeah,
like
right.
that's a security issue waiting to happen. But then he refers to the robot as Megan, and I didn't know what Megan stood for, right? I had no idea.
Yeah, I say it. I don't remember it now.
It's Model 3 generative android.
There you go.
So
Model 3 generative
yeah.
android.
So that's why most people, instead of calling this movie Megan, they call it Mithrigan. So because
Mithrigan.
yeah,
I-
'cause
that's
it's
what I called it.
M3GAN. Yeah,
that's what I called it at first.
yeah, Mithrigan. Yeah.
Oh.
Vegan.
And if you look at it on IMDb, it is M
Yeah.
3 GAN.
Yeah, like when we look it up, when I looked it up on like Movies Anywhere, he looked it up on Prime. He searched by M3.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if you just search Megan, it gives you like a bunch of actresses and
And
stuff.
Megan Levy, is
Yeah.
completely the wrong movie. Yeah.
What is Gemma's name? The actress? Do you know offhand?
I'm thinking because I tried.
Or do you remember what movie we saw her in last? Because that was a cool moment for me when I realized what it was.
No.
Get Out.
Oh,
She's-
no.
Yeah, she's the girlfriend.
the girlfriend?
Yeah,
I knew she looked familiar.
yeah, she's the girlfriend from Get Out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she didn't end up, yeah. Go from, doesn't she get run over in that movie?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah. She has that really really cool scene. Like we're not talking about Get Out, but
Yeah.
like when she's looking through her purse for the keys,
Yeah.
like, and then she's just like, I can't give these to you. Like she's found her niche, man. Like she's been in a lot of stuff, but I feel like the horror social commentary movies are kind of where she's found her spot. 'Cause
Yeah.
Megan and Get Out are both phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think she's in the next one. I mean, she's in the
Yeah, she's in Megan 2.0,
And,
yeah.
And again, I've only watched the one trailer that they had at the movie theater for Megan 2.0.
Yeah.
I don't want to know much about it at
Yeah.
all, but I think I'm really excited that a lot of people are returning.
Yeah.
You know, especially like the girl who plays Megan.
Yeah.
And the girl who did Megan's voice. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize how young she is. Like, the girl that did Megan's voice is like his age.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know
really young. Yeah.
Oh wow. And how old are you?
I'm 11.
Oh, there you go.
I just turned 11 last Monday.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
You're my father, you should know that.
Well, do you know it's his birthday today?
Yeah, it's this guy's birthday.
And this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about Megan. I was very excited. So.
Yeah, so, you know, the wreck at the beginning, right? We don't really have an idea of who that little girl is or how she'll factor in until now. We find out that was Gemma's sister, and that Katie is her niece. Mm-hmm. So Gemma gets temporary custody, and we figure out pretty quickly that there's a reason Gemma doesn't have a kid. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a reason she's not a parent. But yeah, she gets temporary custody and take her home, and I thought, when they first went home and the neighbor is there, right, with the dog, I thought that was so funny because the neighbor is unusually nice for how Gemma talks to her. Like, the neighbor is just like, I mean, obviously she's one of those neighbors that, doesn't care about your property. Like, she's spraying pesticides onto her lawn and stuff and lets the dog run. But, then we figure out the reason the dog's always over there is because Gemma won't fix her fence. Yeah. Like, the fence is Gemma's and she won't fix it. So this is one of those movies that everything matters. Like, everything they talk about, like the listening devices matter, the hole in the fence matters, the pesticides matter, like that comes back, like everything, this is good writing because everything has a purpose in this movie.
Yes. Yeah. I knew like something was going to go on with that neighbor, and then also after that neighbor scene, there was, I believe the scene was like the toys. Yeah. I thought that was funny. Like, they're not toys, they're collectibles. Yeah, and I mean, the girl was 9, right? Katie is 9.
I think so, yeah.
And so that's like how you were 9 once. And you not
I was
allowed to play
9 when the movie came out.
Yeah, 2022, you would have been.
I would have been 9.
You would have been 8.
Would have been 9.
It came out in July, so you would have been 9, I think. Right?
You're 11 now.
Oh yeah, you're 11 in 2025. You would have been.
Katie's older than you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just interesting about, like, again, like, her house wasn't ready to have kids there. Yeah. And now this kid is there. And then that social worker shows up.
Yeah, this is like a scene straight out of Lilo and Stitch too.
Oh, really?
Like I mean, pretty much, right? Like, I know she's her aunt, not her sister, but like, shows up. The kid is clearly not having a good time. Clearly not a great fit. The therapist is, giving her all kinds of crap, just like in Lilo and Stitch. She's like, you need to change a few things in order for her to be here. Like,
it's like, I think the social worker should have cut her a little slack because
her sister just died.
Yeah, her sister just died.
Yeah.
Like 3 days before.
Yeah.
It's not that much time.
Right.
But yeah, so there was that, and then there was the introduction, to Megan then. Yeah. And I thought that was pretty cool. Like, it always gets me every time whenever the whole stuff when they meet. Mm-hmm. Don't they meet like under the, like in the test group?
Yeah, in the test room. Yeah.
And it's when she did that blank paper.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, there's nothing on here.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's faulty. It's terrible. And then she knocks over the water. Yeah. And it's a beautiful watercolor. Of Katie.
And this happens right after. So you talked about Bruce. Like, she shows. So Gemma is telling Katie, like, hey, I really have to work on this project because, at the beginning when the Megan malfunctioned because they forgot to put the piece back in, the boss is like, I need the new protocol on my desk by Friday. Then immediately she finds out her sister died. She had to take off work to do all that stuff, and then she's working in the room. She like it's clearly in the morning because they're eating toast. She's like, "Hey, like we'll go to the park later. I just have to work real quick." And then it snaps forward and it's nighttime.
Yeah.
And Katie's just like hanging out outside the room, and so Gemma brings her in and starts showing her stuff around. She shows her Bruce,
Yep.
which is this robot like you said she made in college.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like Real Steel, like the
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman movie
Yeah.
where you put on the gloves and you get to control the robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's talking about it. She's like, yeah, you know, we can't mass produce these because they're so expensive. And like you said earlier, like Katie's like, if I had a toy like that, I'd never need another toy again.
Yep.
So then it's Friday and it's time for the new protocol to be on his desk and it's not there. And he walks into this testing room and Katie and Gemma walk in, and Katie is introduced to Megan.
Yes.
One thing that happens in the movie is that Katie gets so attached to Megan.
Yeah.
And then there's one part where they're at the test room and the social worker's there.
Yeah.
But this is where they find, like, this is where they're like, they have the conspiracy theory that, like, Megan is killing people.
Right.
So Katie is flipping out. She is ticked off, and whenever she gets to the social worker at the test room, they just, like, she just goes absolutely, like, psycho.
Yeah, ballistic. Yeah. Starts
She-
flipping.
Yeah, and
She
doesn't
grabs she grabs a pair of scissors and
yeah.
almost stabs
Stabs
the
it,
social
yeah.
worker,
Yeah.
but then slaps Gemma
Yeah,
in the
right.
face.
Yeah.
Yep. So she was becoming violent.
Yeah, because
then as well,
one
yeah.
of the marketing aspects of the Megan doll is it's like, hey, you know, parents have to say the same. You know this, have to repeat the same things over and over and over again, like Katie with flushing the toilet.
Oh gosh, that
Like-
was so funny.
Yeah, and so you know the whole marketing aspect of it is like, hey, Megan can take care of your kid and teach them while you do the things that are more important to you.
Yeah, right. I thought that was funny, like, to that point, like, when it started was she gave her a science lesson on why coasters are needed on
Yeah.
a wood table, because,
Yeah.
and how water gets, because she's like, well, how does water get outside the glass?
Yeah.
And gives her a science lesson, and then goes into what you said. I just thought it was funny about, like, the not flushing the toilet thing. And because she kept coming out of the bathroom, and Megan would be standing there, hey Katie, remember to flush. And then, like, the third time, she's like, now remember to
She's like,
flush.
seriously,
Yes,
flush the toilet.
seriously, flush the toilet.
And it's funny because the voiceover is like, you know, and she'll never get frustrated or impatient
Yeah.
with you. And immediately
It's
she's
like-
frustrated and impatient with her.
I was like, I wonder if she's going to tell her to wash her hands. Oh, wash your hands.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, you go, Megan, you tell her.
It's great. But, you know, I mean, this is a commentary on iPad kids. You
Yeah.
know, like the idea that, like, oh, your kid is at the table making noise, just put an iPad in their hand.
Yeah.
You know, like that's it. It is. It's a commentary on that. It's like you don't have to raise your kid; the iPad will. That's why. Like I have a couple relatives that their parents did that, and like this kid, one of my cousins was 4 and could not speak yet.
Really?
But if he had Minecraft, he could build things I could never build.
Wow.
Like because that was how he learned,
Yeah.
just with an iPad. So.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like a good thing.
Oh, it's not.
You know,
No, yeah, not at all.
When we were on a cruise a couple weeks ago, we would go in the dining room. We would see kids sitting there with their
Yeah.
like little iPads, and it's like,
You spend way too much money on a cruise for a kid to just sit on
yeah,
an iPad.
yeah, no, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, on our cruise, it had, like, so many, like, fun things. Like, they even have a giant chocolate fountain that would come out. It was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
That kid probably missed it because he was on his iPad.
Yeah, that was I went on a cruise when I was like 16, and that's that age there's really nothing to do, so I just
Yeah.
ate all the time.
Yeah.
It was great. But, you know, this is an important part right here that feeds into, it's in the second movie we know, you know, the second movie looks, so my impression of this movie before I ever watched it, the first Megan that we're talking about, was that it was more of like a straight horror slasher movie.
Really?
I didn't realize it was more of a horror comedy.
Okay.
And then the new one looks like they're going oh my gosh, what is the Terminator route.
Terminator 2
Yeah,
is what
it
I'm
looks like they're
thinking.
going Terminator 2, where
Yeah.
the bad guy's actually the good guy.
Yep.
Like, yeah, so that looks very cool. But Gemma gives Megan the primary task of you are to protect Katie from harm, physical and emotional. That is your number one thing. And immediately after we learn that, Katie is outside shooting a bow and arrow playing, and Megan's watching her. And she loses one of her arrows and is like, Megan, do you see my arrow? And she looks, and it's through the fence on the other side. So Megan goes out to get it, and she reaches in, and the dog attacks her and bites her and starts ripping at her. And then Katie goes to save her, and the dog bites Katie.
Yeah.
And you see Megan's face, ready to throw down.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't able to protect Katie. So that's going to come back to... And then the neighbor comes out and is, yelling at them, and Megan looks at the neighbor, too, and you're like...
something's going to happen.
They're done. They're cooked. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, shortly thereafter, Megan is, it's nighttime, and the dog is sitting, which you're right on a busy street, and your dog's not chained or anything or inside. It's just sitting in its doghouse.
Yeah.
And we learn, I don't know if we learned it earlier, but we learn here that Megan can imitate basically any voice.
Yeah.
And she's imitating the neighbor, telling the dog to come over.
Yep.
And the dog slowly walks over. And I don't know what it does in the unrated. I'm glad in theatrical you don't see anything. She just takes the dog. Do you see her do anything in the unrated?
Not really.
Okay.
No, it's not terrible. I think the next part when, I think it's the next day or the next evening when she goes out after the woman, there's more to that with the spraying of the pesticide, but, not with the dog, no.
Yeah. And then, so you talked about when Katie is in the room with the therapist. The first time Katie's in the room with the therapist says something to Katie, and Katie starts to cry. And then the therapist turns around, and Megan's there, ready to fight her. And she's like, you made Katie cry. And she's like, that wasn't my intention. Terrified, And this is when we learn about what we were talking about later that's so important about attachment theory.
Yeah.
The therapist is talking about, when a kid loses a parent, they try to attach on as hard as they can to the next person they have. But because you, Gemma, haven't been paying attention to her, she's latching on to Megan.
Yeah, because Gemma was not present.
I have something, and so how you said about Megan 2.0 kind of going, I have seen the trailers. Mm-hmm. It still looks like a horror movie. It still looks like that.
Yeah.
But there is one movie that goes completely a different route from the first movie. And that is Happy Death Day to You.
Okay, I still haven't seen this. I need to.
But it's completely different. It's not like the first movie and how it's slasher. It's more like time travel.
It's more sci-fi.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the first one was so good. You don't need to make one that's like that.
Yeah.
Well, Megan 2.0 looks so good.
Yeah, but that could be the same thing with Megan and Megan 2.0, though. Megan is a horror comedy, and Megan 2.0 might add in more of that science fiction,
action thriller
elements because you have this AI generative robot that now they recommission Megan to go after. And I think, not 100% sure about this, but I know the end of Megan, Gemma has a whole house of AI.
Yeah.
Has a whole house Alexa type thing.
Mm-hmm.
That, comes on, becomes sentient. I'm wondering if that's part of Megan 2.0 as well. I think I saw it in the trailer maybe where
she looks like that. It looks like she's put in that body, which we know in this movie that Megan has control over that because at one point, the house AI is like, Gemma, are you okay? What's wrong? And Gemma's like, you're not programmed to ask me that.
Right.
She says in one of the trailers, Megan is in that thing.
Yeah.
And she says, you put me in a Teletubby type thing. And
Megan is in the little.
She's in something very similar, if not the same one.
Yeah, it looks like a giant. She looks like a Teletubby.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Teletubbies. I'm not even gonna mention 28 years later. But Teletubbies are involved in that.
Yeah, they are. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Teletubbies are demonic.
Teletubbies are. Oh my gosh! I just realized something. You might have to edit this out. But 28 years later, I just realized Teletubbies. If anyone has seen 28 years later, this you may have not made this connection, but the beginning and the end. Think Teletubbies. There you go.
There you go.
And you haven't seen it yet, right? Mm-mm. Think Teletubbies. It just dawned on me right now.
When I saw in the trailer, like the beginning is Teletubbies.
Yeah, well,
like,
the end.
I'm going to see it today, so I'll text you.
Everyone's like, oh, the end. Blah, blah, blah. Nope, the end.
Teletubbies. So then we get, it's coming down to crunch time because after David, the boss, saw Megan, he's like, we need these. He's like, we need to have a huge launch. So it's coming down to the launch, and Gemma is trying to separate Katie from Megan so she can work on Megan. And she's seeing the weird stuff happening with Megan, too.
That hot dog scene where they're having lunch.
Yeah.
And they're just, Megan and Katie are just playing and not paying attention. And Katie says something like, please listen to me, or something like that to get Katie's attention. Or please eat.
Yeah.
And the way that she just takes that hot dog and goes...
throws it down.
It down and goes, and it goes right back to playing with Megan. I was like, that kid.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic parts that was even in the teaser trailer is the dance. That
I think we gotta get to that. We gotta get to that part because that part is like it has a lot of conversation.
Yeah. I really want to talk about that.
We're gonna talk about the dance in a minute.
But we have to get to the day camp first. We gotta go to the summer camp.
Yeah, we gotta go to the summer camp.
Because the summer camp happens right here, right? Where Gemma's trying to drop Katie off at summer camp. She won't get out of the car without her iPad Megan. Will not leave. And this happens, I know from babysitting my cousins and stuff. You try to take a kid to something and there's like a coordinator there, a teacher, and she's like, well, actually, we do have a toy table you can leave her at, right? Yeah. And convinces her to stay and help make sandwiches. So Gemma finally agrees. She's like, all right, Megan can come, but she has to stay at the doll table.
And you should see this table, right? Yeah. There's bears and all this other stuff. Why did the kids bring all this crap? Yeah,
it looks like
so
a
much
Toys
crap
R
there.
Us.
And even Megan being there with, this is the first time we see her with this coat.
Yeah.
This little pea coat.
Yeah.
And she just looks adorable.
Yeah.
And but it looks different.
Yeah.
So from wearing all that tan all the time, and then she has this blue pea coat on, it gives another more sinister kind of look, you know?
Yeah, she's gonna, we're slowly seeing. I mean, she probably has the best character arc of anything. She's not even a real person. Yeah, she's a robot. But then we meet this kid pretty quickly who, looks like a teenager. All the kids there are supposed to be 10. This kid Brandon. Right? And Gemma's making sandwiches with Brandon's mom, and Brandon's mom tries to say something to him, and he turns to her and he goes, "F off," whatever her name is, Ellen. Holly, F off Holly, and she goes, "Kids," and Gemma's like, "Yeah, this is a fun age." That kid's bad.
That kid is bad.
Yeah, and all the other kids know it too, because then they're pairing off groups, which I thought this was weird, but I know it's just to move the plot along. Kids that age, you probably don't want to pair a boy and a girl together to go off and do something by themselves, right? But she tries to pair him with this little boy, and he walks up to the teacher. He's like, "Please, I really don't want to go with Brandon." And she's like, "Oh, that's fine. All right, we'll put the bad kid with the new girl. All right, Brandon, you go with Katie." And it's I don't know, they're doing an Easter egg hunt for rocks or something.
They were doing,
chestnuts.
It was like walnuts or something that they were doing because
smoked chestnuts.
I think it was walnuts because whenever they have that green thing, the spike thing, that's what a walnut is in, right? So, they were opening that and he gets this spike thing and then he shoves it into Katie's hand.
Yeah.
Hurting her and stuff. Ow. And then that's when Megan
appears,
shows up.
Yeah. Ominously in the woods.
Stands there watching and they're like, what is that? And so he becomes intrigued by that doll and then goes over and picks it up and like kind of just
Runs
carries
away.
it off.
Yeah, because Katie's like, that's my doll. And he goes over and tries to talk to her or whatever, and she won't talk back.
Yeah.
And Katie's like, she's paired with me. She won't play with you. He's
Right.
like, oh, yeah? And he just takes her and runs off.
Yeah.
And I was worried that the movie was going to go to like a
weird.
like
there was
a
like this
salty,
weird thing.
like
and
when
I
he
was
laid
like,
her down, I was like, please don't. And then it didn't.
Yeah,
right?
because like he took her shoe off and threw it, and so I just
Yeah.
think he was just a destructive kid.
Yeah.
I think it was
He was
just
Andy
trying to
from
destroy.
from Toy Story. He was Andy
Yeah.
from Toy Story, just
Yeah.
beating her up. Yeah, and he starts smacking her and stuff. And then finally, this is when Megan like has her big psychotic break, because this kill happens before the one we were talking about earlier with the neighbor. This kill happens, and then the neighbor kill happens.
Oh, okay.
So she like grabs him by the ear, and she's like, "Do you know what happens to boys that act like you? Turn into very bad men," and like just
Yeah.
rips his ear off.
Yeah, I love that part.
Yeah.
But like that was like all she did though, and then he's running away.
Yeah,
and then like he slides down the hill.
Yeah, well, she has the, you talk about iconic, like, dance. She has the iconic running on all fours after him.
Oh, yes.
Like a wolf stalking her prey.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
he runs out in front of a car and gets hit.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. One thing about that is in the theatrical version, you can see some of the body parts.
Yeah. Right.
Whenever they're putting his little the pieces into the bags, you
Yeah.
can see some of
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff.
That
When
was
they're
pretty
putting
funny.
that in there.
I think that's in the unrated, because I didn't see that. That might be in the unrated one.
Did you watch the unrated?
No. I don't think I did.
Oh, well,
Or else
I don't think you did either, 'cause-
I'm tough. Dude, I did not.
I saw it.
I
love
might
that
have just
movie.
missed it then.
Yeah, I saw it on Prime. It didn't say unrated. It said PG-13. So,
Watch it not have been PG-13.
well,
Whatever. That's a conversation for another time.
yeah.
But yeah, so the kid gets hit by the car. We see his shoe lying there, and then it goes, and Gemma's being interviewed by the police. And
Yeah, that's right, because it says about when the neighbor gets it, then they're like, oh, this is second time.
Yeah. Yep, because the story from Katie to Gemma is that Brandon stole Megan off of the toy table and ran away with her. And Gemma looks at Megan and she's like, "Is that what happened?" She goes, "More or less." Yeah, in a nutshell. Yep, in a nutshell. So that's so cool. And then that very night, Megan is imitating Dewey, the dog.
Yeah.
Because the neighbor has been looking for Dewey and can't find him. And she's back in the shed, and it's so ominous, dude. Because, like, Celia, the neighbor, walks in, and you hear the dog, like, whimpering. And I really thought we were going to walk in, the dog's, like, chained up or, like,
Really?
injured or something. Like, no. Megan just slowly rises like a musician at a concert. Right? And attacks her. And Celia's like, "What is this?" Then she hits her with a fire hose, going back to, Celia hosing off her property onto Gemma's. And then she takes pesticide and just sprays her face until she dies.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
brutal.
And then you see the drain where it's just blood.
Yeah, her blood.
Yeah.
Her
Going
blood
into the-
running
Yep.
into it. Yep. And then, so we go back to the test room, whatever, and they're trying to separate them.
Yep.
Like you talked about, like this is her freaking out, and then it's the day of they're supposed to have the big launch. And Gemma is taking Katie and just trying to leave. She's like, "You know what? I need to take you home." Like, because they finally have this breakthrough, which I didn't love the way they did this, but it kind of made sense. It's just hard to do with a child actor. Gemma finally has the breakthrough with Katie, like, "Hey, you don't need Megan as a distraction. You're allowed to be upset. Your parents just died."
Yeah.
Right? She's like, "You're allowed to, like, have these emotions and figure these things out." And that's when Katie's like, "I just wish I could see them again." Right? And
Yeah.
at that point, Gemma's like, "You know what? I don't care about my job. I'm just going to take this kid home." And so she takes Katie and they leave while her friends are still working on Megan, trying to make Megan
Okay,
better.
so here's the one part though. Megan gets a hold of Tess's phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like so. It sounds so real, and it's just perfect.
Yeah, the voice imitation. So yeah, Gemma, like you're talking about, Gemma calls Tessa, her partner, to be like, hey, tell David
Yeah,
whatever you have
we're
to.
done.
Like, we can't do this launch. I'm going home. But Gemma picks up that something's wrong, but then doesn't go with it because Megan says, whatever you say, boss. And that's not something Tessa
Yeah,
would ever
right.
say. Ever say. And then Tessa is working on Megan. She walks over and sees her phone, and it says that she just had a 47-second conversation with Gemma. And she's like, that didn't happen.
Yeah, no.
And immediately all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. So this is where one of the iconic dance part thing, where David, the fall of David, he gets killed by one of the, looks kind of like a machete type
Yeah.
thing.
No, it's like the paper cutter. She
Rips it off.
rips it
Yeah.
off, but before she does that, she does that dance.
Yeah.
She rips it off while she does the dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she does like this swaying in the
Yeah.
hall, and he's like, "What the?" You know.
Well,
And then he's-
and just because we know it's important in the second movie with the trailer, we got to talk about what happens right before that. Is that Megan gets loose and blows up the lab
Yeah.
and tries to kill Gemma's two partners.
Yeah, right.
But they, if you look carefully, they make it like, so they go this way. The explosion was this way. They went that way.
Yeah.
So they are okay.
Yeah.
And they will be returning.
But you know in the trailer from the second movie, like Megan walks up to the guy when he's sleeping and she's like, hey, do you remember when I blew up the lab and tried to kill you? I promise that'll never happen again.
Yeah.
And he's like, thank you. But yeah, immediately then David is trying to find Gemma, can't, and he peers around the corner, and like you said, Megan is standing there, and then she just does that wild, creepy
Yeah,
dance.
that was so weird.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it was like this way, and then swaying that way,
Yeah.
and then coming forward, then going over to the copier, and then over and grabs the cutting blade from the paper cutter.
Yeah.
And then comes toward David.
Yeah, stabs him right through the
Well,
chest.
yeah, I mean, he's running toward the elevator, and the guy,
His assistant is in
his
there,
assistant's
yeah.
there, like, hold the door, and then the assistant's trying to close the
Trying
door.
to get out of there, yeah.
And you don't know if he's going to make it, but as soon as he gets to the door, that's when the blade comes right through his stomach, and
Yeah.
the blood flies everywhere.
Yeah.
And then, like, previously we didn't even touch upon this, but the assistant had stolen the Megan files, and he had copied them for himself.
Yeah.
He thought it would be like a funny prank or something. He
Yeah.
was just, being a jerk.
Well, he also has been treated like crap the entire time.
Well, yeah.
So maybe he was going to go to a competitor or
Maybe he
something,
was.
who knows.
Yeah, but then Megan calls him out on that, and then slices his...
Well, she's the ultimate gaslighter, right? Because the assistant's like, how could you do this? She's like, I didn't kill David. You did.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, no, she was like making this whole story up,
Yeah.
this storyline.
You wanted to get revenge.
Yeah. Yeah, you wanted to get revenge, and you couldn't handle things and the stress of everything. And then she takes his hand and makes him stab himself.
Yeah.
With the knife.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's dead, but the coolest part is like what that one of the comedic scenes is where they're back in getting ready to get hyped up for the reveal, and
Yeah.
she's trying to get all this lady, the publicist or whatnot, is trying to get all the energy in the room
'Cause
so that
David-
whenever they see Megan, they want it all hyped up.
Yeah.
And then that's when the elevator door opens and they see the blood everywhere and the
Yeah.
dead body and everything. I think Megan's in the elevator too.
She
Yeah,
had,
then
she
she leaves.
was gone then.
Oh,
like
she was
she
gone?
had walked away. Yeah, and they
Okay.
just saw the dead
They
bodies.
saw and they saw the dead bodies, and then they're all screaming and yelling
Yeah.
bloody murder, and that's
Yeah.
when she goes out and gets into David's car,
Yeah.
and then drives away.
Well, and it's funny too because David, like, they're setting up for this presentation, like the big launch, and there's like no chairs there. And David's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "You said it was an online launch, so I just have all
Yeah,
the workers
right.
here." He's like, "No, I need as many people as possible." So she just calls like every influencer in that town.
Yeah.
And then it's really funny because they're all standing there on their phones because they're like TikTok influencers.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Can you guys stop being on your phones for like 5 seconds?" Because that happens with like premieres of movies and stuff. You invite these influencers and they're on their phones the entire time because that's how they make their money, right? But yeah, it was so funny they did that. And then Megan gets in the car and starts heading away, and you can pretty well assume she's going to Gemma and Katie's house.
Yeah, right.
And sure enough, that's where she went.
Yes.
So it's funny because I was talking about it earlier with the idea of the marketing for Megan is, you focus on the kids so you can focus on what's important to you. Megan is in the house and she's so musically talented. It's so funny. She's like sitting at a piano, playing music when Gemma walks out, and then, they confront each other and they start to fight, and Katie walks around the corner. And Katie can clearly see kind of what's going on, but Megan is pinning Gemma down to the table, and she goes, "If Katie comes out here, I'm gonna kill you in front of her."
Yeah.
So she's imitating Gemma's voice, telling her to go back.
Right.
Gemma's also telling her to go back, but Katie can still pick up that something's wrong. But then they fight a little more. Katie can hear that they're fighting. They go back into her lab or whatever in her house, and Megan looks at Gemma and she's like, let me take care of Katie so you can focus on what's important to you. Bringing that the whole way back.
Yep. And this is even during the fights, when they get back to that lab, that's when it starts becoming really violent for Megan. Her hair starts getting disheveled, her face starts getting tore.
Yeah.
It's starting to the fight is starting to have an effect.
Yeah, well, and she uses the chainsaw on her head.
Yeah,
she
that
takes the
was
chainsaw to her skull. Yeah, and it doesn't stop her.
And then they say something about the pen and how that Megan was going to paralyze Gemma.
Because Gemma had done that to Megan. Gemma had been like, "Megan, do you see this pen?" And Megan walked up and she pushed her button and turned her off.
Yeah.
So this time, Gemma tries it again for some reason, not forgetting that she's adaptive AI and she's going to know that's a problem. And she takes it and she goes, "You're really starting to piss me off." And then, she talks about how she's going to paralyze her. And that's when Katie walks in.
Yeah.
And Megan's like, Katie, we can do this together. We can be together. We can paralyze Gemma. And this is when we get the awesome moment with Katie when she's like, well,
there's one
we
family we have not told you
about. Exactly.
Yeah.
Meet Bruce.
Yeah.
And then she powers up. And because when they were back in that room, my thought the whole time was, why is Bruce not doing anything? Because Gemma walks in and just knocks Bruce down.
Yeah.
Right? To block, if I'm Gemma, I'm getting those gloves on. I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
But she didn't. And I'm so happy that they didn't just throw Bruce away with the idea. She actually, Katie comes in and, it's a full-out robot fight, man. Starts using Bruce to beat Megan up, and it's great. And then she rips her in half.
Yeah.
And,
she's still going, though. She's still going.
Well, and you think, this is one of those beautiful things like Alien, where it's the fourth act now. You think everything's done, and then nope, the monster is still there, ready to fight. And Megan starts going after Katie then.
Yeah.
And trying to kill Katie.
Yep.
So. And then it goes after Gemma again for doing something, for the brain.
Yeah, there's that
chip thing.
Yeah.
And then Katie sees this screwdriver. Mm-hmm. And then Megan was choking Gemma, and then the end of Megan.
Yep, she stabs Megan right through the face with the screwdriver and kills her. Stabbed her right through the thing that in the beginning of the movie when she malfunctioned they had forgotten to install.
Yeah, it was that brown cube type thing.
Like her CPU or something. Yep, stabbed her right through, and we think that's the end of the movie, right? So, Megan is dead. They walk out. Gemma's partners pulled up and, with the police and found her. And then it is not the end of the movie. We get left on a cliffhanger because the Alexa inside turns and lights up.
Yep.
And that's the end of the movie.
That's the end. Yeah. I thought maybe there might be something extra, but that was the thing.
I thought there might be something in the credits, but there wasn't.
Well, now I have to find out if there's something, I always check before I go to the movies, if there's a post-credit scene to know if I need to stay or not. So, but with Megan 2.0, it doesn't really matter, because if we go see it this weekend,
we'll have to watch
we'll be there anyway for the second feature.
Yeah, going to
So,
Midway to the
yeah.
drive-in. Yeah,
It's supposed to rain Friday, but I'm hoping that we can pull it off.
yeah,
Good, grab a canopy. We'll be fine.
I don't know if you're allowed to set up a canopy at the Midway.
probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
We get chairs with like umbrellas on them.
Yeah, there
That's
you
a
go.
thing.
That is a
There
thing.
you go. Or just
Grab
put
umbrellas.
a
and
beach umbrella in between you, like put chairs on the
Yeah.
sides and put a beach umbrella
There
down.
you go.
might be able to do that,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, that's Megan. What'd you think?
I love that. This was fun.
Yeah. I love the movie. I'd watch it again and again, and Lucas actually just found the poster, so he's gonna put that up in his room in celebration of the new one.
Yeah, in celebration of the new one.
Yeah.
Right on.
It's gonna stare into my soul, though. It's a picture of her sitting, on her thing, looking at like the Katie's bed, but it's just her and not the bed, and
Oh.
it looks like it's staring into your soul.
We didn't talk about that either. Like, that's really cool. That the whole like half of the bench is her charging station.
Yeah, I saw that. Like, yeah, whenever she sits down, it lights up.
Yeah, it starts charging her. Yeah, that's really sweet. This movie was so smart.
Yeah.
Like it was very well done. So, and I don't think the director has done a ton of other like notable things. So like this is kind of his big breakthrough.
Right.
Was this movie? So,
Yeah, I really, before I saw the movie, I thought might be kind of lame.
Yeah.
But it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it like 3 or 4 times now.
I've seen
Yeah.
it more than you have.
And you've both seen it more than I have. I've watched it one time, and I'm gonna watch it more for sure. I bought it. I bought the physical media. So
Yeah.
yeah, we don't do this on a lot of them, but it's new because you're here. So let's do it. So on our 10-point scale, what do you give Megan out of 10?
9.9.
9.9.
9.9. Wow.
Nice. That's good. Where are you at, Mike?
I'm going to say an 8.
Yep, that's
I'm
where
around
I'm at.
an 8.
I've got it in an 8 also.
Yeah.
There were a couple things that could have made it better, but like we're in a horror renaissance, and Megan's been a big part of that. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for the new one. This is coming out the day Megan 2.0 comes out, so go see the new one.
Yeah, go see it. I mean, we've been hyped about it. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Lucas, Mike, thanks for coming on.
Sure.
Sure.
And yeah, this has been the Real Friends podcast, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.